I started selling stuff online and Etsy and making videos about how to make these homemade crafts. Well, I started to generate a little bit of money from it. One of my friends didn't believe me though. Well, that same friend now needs my help, and all the cruel things that he said to me, I remember those still. So I decide to tell him this. If there was ever a friend that I thought would be loyal to me through thick and thin, it would have been my friend Mike. Mike and I come from a long way, all the way from middle school. Our families were close through all the births, deaths, moving, weddings, you name it. We kept in touch. However, there was a brief period when we lost contact about 5 years ago. I was surprised when, a couple months ago, I bumped into Mike. I was happy to find out that he was still married, and that his son Carl also had the same interest as my son George. We organized a lunch date so that we could catch up. Our kids quickly grew close, and we had the chance to talk about our lives. Mike, having always been the go-getter, is now an executive at his company. He has 2 kids, Carl, 16, and Theo, who's 10. He's also still married to his wife, Sarah. As for myself, I quit my corporate job about a year ago. My wife and I split up. I got full custody of the child since she wanted to go find herself. I was feeling a bit stagnant in my career, so as a pastime, I decided to create content online about my longtime hobbies, mainly craft. I've always been good with my hands, turning the simplest household items into something useful. It was a skill that I picked up from my grandmother. It was therapeutic for me. Well, one day, I decided to just record my process and upload it. I thought it was just going to get a few likes, but as soon as I posted it I gained a following. I also started to sell some of the stuff that I recorded on Etsy and various auction sites during the week, and my crafts were a hit. While I was still working at my job, I ended up quitting along with various employees because of differences with management. I got my payout, decided to downsize to an apartment for me and my son, and continued creating content. My content creation has always been a source of encouragement and basically, advertisement. When I'm not doing crafts, then I'm learning how to better market my stuff. I care a lot about sustainable development, so my stuff is always about recycling what I already have and can find. I'm very proud of my job. So I told Mike about it. He told me that I was very brave and asked me if I could make a lamp for his son. This was after I showed him my portfolio of work. I kept in touch with him over the past few months, and it felt great to have him back in my life. He invited me on fishing trips, drinks with some buddies, etc., and I was also able to get advice from some of the people he introduced me to. Then, a few days ago, he asked if my son would like to join him camping over the long weekend. I already had plans with my son, but they begged me, so I agreed. It would also give me some time to myself, as teenagers can be a bit stressful to take care of. I love my son, but he is at this stage of thinking that he knows everything. They went away for the weekend, but my son was unhappy when he came back. Since he was moody, I tried to cheer him up without probing, but his mood lasted for days, and when I suggested that he should go visit Carl, he told me that he never wanted to see Carl again. I asked if they fought or something, to which he replied, Carl was a spoiled brat who was just like his father. Well, I asked what did that mean, and the look of fear that I saw reflected into my son's eyes made me pause. Clearly, there was something that I've been missing with regard to his friendship with Carl. George told me that the weekend away had been hell, mainly because of Mike. Mike invited some of Carl's friends who were better off. Throughout the whole weekend, he absolutely belittled my son, saying things like how the other boys should donate their old games and clothes to him because his dad was failing him in the tough times. George also told me that when he went to Mike's house, Mike would say stuff about my career. Things like how online content creation was a useless waste of time, and that he doubted that I would make it. He said that I did not have a real job, but if I swallowed my pride, he would easily get me something a bit more stable. Well, to be honest, it would surprise him to know that I'm doing fairly well in my online content creation. I don't have a mega following, but my son and I are simple. We are able to care for ourselves and our needs, and still have money for a treat here and there. So, during the weekend away, my son had an argument with Mike about my career, and Mike said something about me. He later on apologized, telling my son that he did not need to tell me because I would never believe him. Of course, I believed my son over Mike. I have known my son since the day he was born, and I know I know when he's lying. His eyes don't twitch even once when he's telling me that Mike said that. I told my son not to worry, and that he did not have to hang out with Carl if he didn't want to. I was about to ask Mike what he had to say about my career, but then I started talking to his sister, Julie. I saw Julie when I was out at the hardware store. Now Julie, oh boy, she's talkative. With no filter at all, she seemed to know an awful lot about me that I did not tell her. She said that I was brave to get into such a risky career. She could never have the same bravery as me. She went on to say that I should not mind that Mike is doing so much better than me. He could help me out if I decided to get a real career. I asked her if Mike had been saying that about me, and she acted like she was shocked. But I saw how her eyes were shining to tell me. She has always enjoyed gossip with no loyalty to anyone, not even blood. She asked if I wanted to buy her a pie, so I bought her the pie. Then for the next 20 minutes she spilled to me the beans what Mike said about me behind my back. It was like taking candy from a baby. I have to admit that I'm disappointed in him because he is my oldest friend. I thought that he supports me, instead he looks down on my job, and then makes my son feel out of place. Like any parent, I don't want people to be talking about me in front of my kid. I don't want to worry my child or have to be embarrassed by someone with a lack of common sense. If I tell you the things that Mike has been saying about me, you will be shocked. The sad part is that I'm not surprised. I've noticed some lack of respect which I've pushed under the rug. Mike has always wanted to be the best and have the spotlight. I have let him have the spotlight, honestly, because I don't enjoy the attention. I've supported him from back when we were in high school, when he wanted to be a class president, to even when he was trying to date his current wife. But it appears that he has not changed. He prefers me to be his cheerleader, but can't do the same for me. I know I'm not making as much as he is, but is it too much to ask for respect? He had dampened my mood so much that I had not posted content in days. I realized this and decided I need to log into my platforms, only to get the shock of my life. I've reached 1 million views on one of my videos. The majority of the comments are positive, and I have also started to gain more followers. I don't know how I got this much luck, but I'm going to ride on this wave for as long as possible. But there's also a bit of doubt within me. Should I confront him about it? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So, what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for not offering financial help to my friend who previously belittled my online career? That's the name of update number 1. I hope you guys are enjoying your day today. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Take a second to do that now. I post videos every single day, so let's go ahead and jump into update number 1. Okay, so that one video, I guess you can say that was not just luck. The engagement on my content channel has, well, become exponential. Gaining such organic traffic has increased the boost in my small business. Not only that, but I've started to earn a lot more money from creating online content. In order to capitalize, I've decided to delve into different content types on various other platforms in order to gain maximum income and just reach a greater variety of my target audience. This has been a very good few months. I can't even explain it. All my bills are paid and I have money left over for once. Because of that, I've been able to upgrade my recording equipment. My son has been helping me a lot with some of the stuff, and I've been also making sure that I compensate him properly. With the boost in my income, my quality of life has greatly improved. I've not spoken to Mike since I heard what he said. I didn't want to concern myself with his negative attitude, so I dedicated all of my time to growing my following. Anyways, guess who showed up unannounced at my house at the beginning of the week? Yeah, Mike. He was looking terrible and appeared like he had not slept in days. When I asked what was going on, he said that the company that he worked for was shutting down. He's just been let go at short notice and he's in a lot of financial issues. His wife is not working, so he's responsible for the mortgage, utility bills, son's school fees, etc. The money that he has will not even cover half of his bills. Even if he sues the company, they're bankrupt and he'll only get his money in a few years at best. He told me that he is in such trouble that he needs some money to help him. He told me that he really did not want to do this to me, but he knew that I was making good money with my content creation. So he wanted to know if maybe, just maybe, I could lend him a couple of $1,000 so that he could pay his bills until he found a job. I do sympathize with his position, but the first thought that went through my mind was, what nerve does he have to ask me for help? He's been making me look like a fool, wasting my time with content creation, and now he wants my help? I told him that I would tell him how things work out and I would check out my finances. I've been thinking about this for a few days now. Even though I told him that I needed time, he's been unnecessarily friendly, sucking up to me and suddenly having respect for my career all of a sudden. What I cannot do is forget how he's been belittling me and what I do. I've worked so hard to get here. He has no idea how difficult and frustrating it is just to create content. He laughed at me and told Julie that even if I was content creating, I would just get swept away when the next trend comes. He said, well, how could I expect to raise a son who will be something someday when all I know is filming and crafting and Etsy? He said that soon I would grow old, and that content creation did not guarantee a pension or a fund if I found myself unable to work. I cannot get his words out of my head. I know that there's risk, but each career does have a risk. Is it not ironic that he's been talking about how my career has no stability, yet just as quickly as he lost his corporate job? Guys, where's the pension fund that he said was guaranteed with his job? Nah, I don't think that I can set aside what he's done to just the sake of helping him. He should ask those fancy friends of his that he prefers to hang out with to help him out, yes? How can I help him when I have no stable career, according to him? Yeah, I'm unemployed. Therefore, I'm not going to give him any of my money. Okay, so something did happen, though, that made me reconsider the decision that I made moments ago. I'll tell you. Remember Carl? He has just sent me an email with a link to his channel. He's created a channel for gaming content, and he seems to have quite a following already. He told me that he was inspired by me. He has always wanted to create content, but he was unsure. I'm very happy for him. I'm all for young people pursuing their dreams at all costs. I checked out his channel, and the kid does appear to have some talent with video games. I talked to his father about it. His father seems proud. He also says he regrets his past feelings that online creation is not a career. Now I'm wondering if maybe I should just help him out. He's my friend for many years. What if this was just him making assumptions because he's not yet educated about the career? We've been through so much together, therefore I'm hesitant to throw away what we have. I really don't know what to do. On one hand, I'm upset, but on the other, I understand what it feels like to be helpless, to be without an income, and I don't want his family to suffer. Many of his so-called friends have abandoned him already, and I don't want to be the next one to do it. Update number 2. I decided that I was going to help my friend. Well, but on the condition that he would apologize to my son for what he said about my career, and for the way he treated me at camp. Till now, I've not yet spoken to him about what he had been saying behind my back. He is my oldest friend, and I wanted to avoid confrontation. But I also knew that the feeling of resentment that I was feeling would never go away if I did not address the issue with him. So, I invited him to my house. We cracked some beers, and then I told him that I sympathized with this situation because I've been there before. I was going to help him out because he is my oldest friend, but there was something that he said about my career which did not sit well with me. I repeated to him some of the words he said. He looked like a deer caught in headlights, which were further confirmation for me that he really did say that. He told me that he was ignorant back then and should have never said those things to me. Well, I told him that the person he hurt most with those words was my son. So I was only going to help him out if he would apologize to my son. But he said that he already apologized to me. He didn't see why it was important to apologize to a son who is a 16-year-old boy. I told him that my son was very upset about what happened, and I cared what my son felt. He said he would do it since it was very important to me. He also wanted to discuss his son's content creation with me as well. He told me that, well, he was seeing the potential his son had, and since I had been in the industry for a while, his son looked up to me. I agreed to do it as soon as he talked to my son. My son was still at school, he had an art class, but he came back soon enough. I left the two of them alone because I got a call from someone. When I came back, I could hear my son shouting from across the flat. When I ran to the room, I saw that they were at each other's throats. My son told me that he could not accept Mike's apology. He was finding it hard to believe that Mike would just change his tune like that, after all the nasty things that he said in the past about my job. He's a hypocrite, Dad. He's saying this only because he needs money, and no one else will help him. I do not accept his apology. And then he stormed off. I feel as if he might be overreacting a bit. I'm from the same generation as Mike. When we grew up, most of the careers that existed today did not exist back then. We were taught that, you went to school and college and then got an office job, where you would spend the rest of your days till you retire. I explained to my son later on and told him that having an outburst was not the best way to respond to someone that he did not agree with. As for Mike, since he had held up his end of the bargain, I gave him some money. I could not give a lot because I have my own expenses, but I really tried. I did. Not kidding, I really tried. He thanked me for what I did and told me that he really does respect my career, even though it might have taken something unfortunate like him losing his job to realize that. After the minor hurdle, we were good once again. George is getting over it, and he has started to hang out with Carl. In the meantime, I've been mentoring Carl whenever I can. Not that he needs it because the boy has natural charisma. He has even crafted a content schedule that will not conflict with his studies, and is always coming up with interesting content. While gaming is his niche, he does some blogging as well, and slowly his following is increasing. He's not yet at the stage of earning anything, but he's just a few thousand followers from making some decent money. His dad is his biggest cheerleader, which makes me very happy. That is the Mike that I know, who supports those that matter to him. I no longer have those intrusive thoughts when I meet him. He apologized, and I decided to let go and focus on my work. Update number 3, titled, "Well, am I the a-hole for feeling betrayed when my friend's child signed an online deal with my competitor?" Like any profession, one comes to have rivals or competitors. I have someone that I've been competing with. I don't want to get into it, but bottom line is that when I started to become successful, he posted some comments on my page, questioning my techniques and such. There's been a bit of friendly competition for the past couple of months, which has brewed to the point that everyone knows it. When I say everyone, I mean even Carl. It's no secret that I'm one of Carl's biggest supporters. Carl knew about my rivalry when Eddie, not his real name by the way, yet I had to wake up to the news on Twitter, all over the place, that Carl had just signed a lucrative deal with Eddie. They're going to be sponsored by a very big shoe company for this deal, and it'll increase their followers quite a bit. When I found out, I sent him a congratulations text because I did not want to cause any drama. But I feel like here I can express how I really feel because no one knows me. I'm not happy at all that Carl is going to be working with Eddie. Eddie might have a larger following, but he has a big ego. I know that he's doing this to get to me, but if I tell Carl that, I know he will think that I'm just jealous. I kind of feel betrayed. I supported Carl, and I don't want to say that I made him, because that would be self-centered. But I did have something to do with his success. Yet, now he decides that he's going to backstab me. Everyone knows about this, and most people think that Carl is picking sides. Carl told me in a text that this is just for business and followers. There's nothing more to it. Mike knows about it, yet he's acting like it's the greatest thing ever. I lied earlier. I'm so mad, and I feel like making sure that they know this. I thought that they were as close as family to me, but now it feels like they used me so that Carl would get more popular, and now they're going to just discard me into the trash. I feel like confronting them, but I won't. Edit. Hey guys, an edit to my post. So it turns out that I was right. I found out through sources that I will not mention that it was in fact Mike's idea to reach out to my rival so that they could make a deal together. Once they're done, Carl's going to get a lot of money. So much money that they could be set financially at least for a few months. And guess who has stopped looking for a job just as his son has started to make some big money? No prizes for guessing who. All this time, my anger was directed at Carl and my rival, but now I just see Mike for the snake that he is. And I'm not happy at all. He's very ungrateful, definitely not a friend of mine. He's an opportunist and a user. His poor son does not know that he's being controlled. Now that I think about it, all Mike talks about these days is creating content. He used to talk about Carl's grades, but now he only talks about his followers. I definitely know that once the money comes through, he plans to take it from his son and settle his debt. He wants to make his son work so they can maintain their lifestyle, and the boy doesn't even know it. Now, I think back to what my son said. Yes, my friend is a hypocrite, and I'm a fool for believing that he's a good-intentioned person. Well, fool me once, shame on you. Twice, I will expose you. Final update. I decided to be the Good Samaritan and expose him for the snake that he is. Working is very hard, especially if you're going to get nothing out of it. I have the screenshots of his conversations with Eddie and with Julie, his sister. In his conversation with Eddie, he gave his own banking details so that the money would get deposited into his account, which is not suspicious at all. But then with Julie, he told her that he lied to his son about how much money he's getting. He's going to give Carl less than 20% of the money, and then use the rest to pay off his debt. He continued to Julie that his son was going to be bankrolling him for a long time, and that he might never have to work again. It did not look good for him. I was so angry with the boy when I saw those messages. I would never try to scam my own son out of money that he earned on his own. So, I decided to attend the dinner that was hosting to celebrate the signing of the contract. They'd not yet reached the finalization stages, but it was as good as done. He invited a lot of people, many of them familiar faces from the days when he used to work at his old job. As he was boasting about how he did all that, I just blurted it out. He was talking about how his son was going to be the next big child star, and I said it. He will definitely be a star. He has everything. Talent as well as a parent who is exploiting him. "What are you talking about?" Carl asked me. I simply handed him the phone and let him see for himself. His mother snatched the phone, and the more she read, the redder her face got. And I'm talking red. She gave me the phone back, took several steps towards Mike and slapped him across the face. "We agreed that he would get to use the money for his college fund. You're supposed to be looking for a job." Well, to which he replied, "You should be the one to look for a job. I've taken care of you for so many years. I also want to stay home and get money for doing nothing." Well, Carl ran away, too fast for anybody to catch. I followed him right up the stairs, but his room was already locked. Meanwhile, his parents have started a screaming match downstairs while the guests were just watching with popcorn. I decided to excuse myself since what I came to do was done. I told myself that I did the right thing, but the look on Carl's face when he found out that his father was playing him, it was very sad indeed. But why should I have to feel bad? I exposed Mike, who's a hypocrite, only supporting his son because he wants to use his money. I told myself that I did the right thing, which was what helped me to sleep at night, but I did not account for the aftermath. I was so blinded by my anger and resentment towards Mike that I did not think about how that would affect his family. I think that I broke apart his home. His wife left him, she's back staying with her parents, she even took Carl with her. A week later, Carl released a statement on all of his platforms saying that he was taking a break, wasn't sure that he would even be back. A few days later, all his platforms were gone. What happened next, I found out from Julie, has no loyalty to anyone and will gossip about the correct amount of food. Mike could not work and support his family, and after his stunt, his wife decided that she wants to separate, so she took her son. Carl was so betrayed by Mike when I left, they had a very, very big fight, where Carl told him that he wished he was not his father, because he was the most selfish person that he's ever met. Then Carl went and canceled the contract with my rival, who was, well, less than pleased. With canceling the contract, there's many consequences. Since Mike signed as Carl's guardian, he's now in trouble with my rival, who is so mad at the moment, and the amount of money that he lost in the process. I think that he wants to take Mike to court, which would be bad for him. Mike is drowning in debt, and he's not even paid me back for the money that I lent to him all those months ago. Soon he will lose his house and car, that is, if he does not get a job by some miracle. I do not feel guilty about Mike. People see him for who he is now, but I do feel bad about the fact that his family has to suffer for his mess. I did not think that it would affect Carl so badly, that he would quit entirely. Carl is a very talented individual. He had a lot of potential, but now he doesn't want to do what he loves. I sent him a message telling him that he should not give up, and that the world deserves to see his talent. He told me that he's not in the right headspace to think about that right now, and he said that he has to school to worry about, as well as the possibility that his parents are going to divorce. I apologize for how I revealed things, but he told me that he was not upset with me. He was upset with his dad. So the saddest part for this story for me is Carl. Carl was so happy with what he was doing, playing video games, making videos about it. He was young and he thinks that he found his passion, only to be ruined by two people basically in a feud. That went ahead and blew up his dream at such a young age. I question, will he ever actually go back to it? Let me know your opinions on this story in the comment section down below. Guys, my name's Mr. Reddito. Thank you for joining me on today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content today. If you want to see more daily videos, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.